Hi, this is Steve Harper from YourCreativeLife.com, talking today about how I get started to write a script. I recently was asked this question online, and I put out a little bit about it on Twitter, but I thought I'd go a little bit more in depth here. So, my ideas for scripts all come from mostly my imagination. Things that I'm obsessed about, things that I dream about, things that have frustrated and challenged me since I was a little kid, or things that are brand new frustrations, challenges, thoughts, feelings. So it might come from a dream, or it might come from some object that I'm curious about or obsessed with. All of my ideas come from that place. So I take that idea, whatever it is, sometimes it's a concept, sometimes it's an object. So let's say, for example, it's about deviled eggs. Now, deviled eggs are not something that I particularly like. Your mileage may vary, but I don't really. They just strike me as odd and strange. But in some way, in some level, I'm obsessed by them. And so I might take something like deviled eggs, which seems really innocuous, and I might begin to spin it into a story where this thing that I'm curious about is a precious object in some sort of larger universe, right? And so I've taken something like deviled eggs and I've begun to sort of create this world around it. Immediately, I want to decide what the conflict is. So I'm going to create a character who is pro this particular object and who is anti this particular object. Right? So let's say we're in a world where this kind of food is something that's a delicacy, it's hard to come by, it's rare and precious, and there's somebody who makes them really well, who does a great job creating deviled eggs, and there's somebody else who's trying to squash that, who is either in this world it's illegal to create them, or they're super precious and this person wants to steal them. But on some level, I'm creating this opposition, right? Between one character who is pro this object and another character who is anti this object. So you see how I've created this space of conflict between these two people in this fantasy world based on this thing that I'm obsessed with. The next thing I'm going to decide is which of these characters is the main character. Because I believe, and I've said in these videos before, for every story that I write, every script, whether it's television or film, and I think for most of the stories out there, they're mainly about one person. There is one protagonist who leads the story, who's trying to do something. And when we get to describing the story, the script, the scenario in a log line, that log line is going to feature that main character. Now, another reason to think about main characters is that if I make something, a TV show or a movie, there's always going to be what we call number one on the call sheet. That person is the lead person. And that person is the person who we're going to pay the most to in most circumstances. And so you really want to give that person the juiciest stuff to do, right? It all goes toward the notion of emphasizing that there is one protagonist in this universe, right? So once I've decided that, then I can move on to the next space, which is the log line, and get into all sorts of other things about action and plot points and all of that. But that's going to be for another video. For now, though, you've seen how I take something from my life that I'm obsessed with. I begin to create some sort of metaphor or some sort of opposition. I embody those into two characters who are warring with each other on opposite sides of whatever that is, a metaphorical issue or a particular object. And then I decide which one is the main character or protagonist. And ultimately, I'll brainstorm about what that protagonist wants and needs to do in this universe. So that's the beginning of how I take an idea and I begin to create a script. And there'll be more down the line. Watch the next several videos to get more information about what I do from that point. So please like and subscribe to my channel here. If you like this content, tell your friends, spread the word, like and subscribe. You can also get some juicy resources for writers of all types at my website, yourcreativelife.com. And I hope you listen to the Secret Writer podcast, which is a new offering that I'm doing with my friend Nick Job, who's also a writer and a writing coach. And we talk about, in some ways, the inner lives of writers. And I'm sure you'll get a kick out of that too. So like and subscribe there for the Secret Writer podcast as well. And try it out this week, this methodology of creating a story from something that you have in your imagination, in your heart, or that you're obsessed with.